that the number one key to succeed in life is emotional intelligence. Yes, you heard me right. When we are ready to address our emotions, guess what? It's like an absolute plethora of possibilities opens up to us. Up till a few years back, I always thought that emotional intelligence is for the really intelligent people, those calm, collected people who never seem to get agitated, are always happy with life, and never seem to have issues in life. We think that, right? That calmness, being confident, and being successful is so effortless. Who are these people? Is it our page 3 people who never seem to have a strand of hair out of place? Is it the inventor who changes the face of the world with their cool technologies? Is it someone like Mark Zuckerberg who never thought about what was not working for him but was always focused on what was important to him? He believed in an idea, went ahead and did it. Or is it someone like Robin Sharma who talks about the 5 a.m. club? It's such a confusing thing when it comes to the world of emotional intelligence. So, if that is what has your exposure to emotional intelligence been, worry not, because you are not alone. Like millions of people, we expect that emotional intelligence is something that we need to be born with. And if we are struggling about our day to day life at work, then we are supposed to man up and handle ourselves. We don't have to have any skills, but it's something that a few blessed few are born with. Sounds familiar? Yes, because many of us are used to judging ourselves and often very harshly. We don't understand that, like we skill up in school for languages, those days when we didn't know how to string words together, and painstakingly we probably wrote our alphabets for an entire year. The next year, we learned to phonetically put words together, so that phonetical A for apple, we didn't learn that. A lot of times, some of us learned A from apple. So then, how is it that one can go on and on without doubting themselves? Quite simply, what we need to do is take a minute and think about how is it that we are addressing our emotional needs. Are we actually supposed to be skilled at emotions without knowing what to do? I'm giving you a minute to think about things and then we will start off. Yup. Thought about it? Please put in your comments in the chat box. So, like we learned A for apple, we learned to write simple words together, starting from A for ant, B for bat. In the same way, when it comes to emotional intelligence, we need to start at the bottom. At the bottom is self awareness. What is self awareness? Do I know what is it that gets me going? What is it that gets me happy? Do I know what are those minor triggers that we talk about? Those days when nothing seems to be going right. I'll give you Aisha's example. Aisha was a young, successful executive in a multinational company. She was a good student academically all through school and college. So when she landed a job with Microsoft, she was very, very happy. Again, the names have been changed and the names of company, everything is fictional. This is just to get you to understand a context. Yet, in spite of the big salary, in spite of having a relationship, She was not happy. She was constantly stressed out. She often felt that her commute was extremely tiring. She didn't have time to exercise, and she was putting on weight, sitting on her desk jobs. They were planning to start a family, but she felt that she would not be accepted at her work. And while there were a lot of policies in place, she felt that she wouldn't be able to juggle things very, very well. Sounds familiar? Is Aisha's story like yours? When So the first thing is for Aisha, when we spoke about being self aware, Aisha needs to understand that she is sometimes not in touch with her inner self. So while she's looking at the larger picture and trying to be happy, she's forgetting certain basic facts. So becoming self aware will help her identify what is it that's draining her energy. Thank you, Varsha, for your question. I will absolutely address it once I've finished explaining the five basic factors. Varsha, welcome. And Varsha's question is how to control our emotions when we know certain things will hurt us. I'm going to take it from the viewpoint of self awareness. Firstly, what is it that is hurting us? Let's say somebody has spoken to me in a rude tone at work and I don't like it. I know answering back is not an option. Yet inside, I'm really feeling hurt. So, one of the ways that we can actually control our emotions is first understand that the shoe is pinching. Why is the shoe pinching? One is about what has been done right now, but often it's also because of some old memories that have got triggered because of the current interaction. Like taking the example of yelling, maybe the person who has yelled at me right now has reminded me of another time when somebody yelled at me and I could not stand up for myself. So, if I need to control my emotions, there has to be a regular practice of mindfulness in place. And just like we do certain things to take care of our physical health, like daily bathing, for our teeth, we brush our teeth, we need to do general exercises on a daily basis for the mind. These include deep breathing, they also include practices like journaling. So, self awareness, which is the first component of emotional intelligence, is the way to start off. Secondly, the second component is emotional regulation. Once I'm aware about what has made me angry or what gets me stressed out, is I have to then see how do I react when I'm angry. Is it that I shout at somebody else? Is it that I displace that emotion? Now, what is displacement? I'll give you a small example. Usually, what happens that let's take Ram as a hypothetical example. Ram is a successful executive and has reached the corner suit. He's very happy and he supervises his juniors, and there are multiple managers working under him. So something triggers him and he yells at one of the managers. The manager doesn't like getting ticked off. So what does he do? He goes in and yells at an executive. The executive is unhappy. He knows there's nobody whom he can yell at it. So he goes home and he yells at his wife. The wife is angry. She yells at the child. The child doesn't know what to do. The child kicks the dog. So what we are seeing, this is called displacement. So anger of one person has led to a lot of reactions in multiple people. So firstly, you have to understand that how is it that you regulate your emotions. If you are angry with somebody, then what is it that you need to do? Once you know that, that is how you start controlling your emotions. Many a times, we often give it off to other people. I may be stressed out about something, so if somebody asks me for an opinion, I've instantly flared up and later on regretted. Sounds familiar? I have heard this typical sentence from many, many people in therapy. So, if you feel that your emotions get the better of you, you sometimes get very angry, or sometimes you get irritable, and then you say mean things or hurtful things or things which are bad for you, then understand you're not alone. Perhaps the skills of emotional regulation has not been taught to you. The third one is, once I realize that when I lose my cool, if I say things, not is it just bad for my health, it'll lead to physical complications like bloating in the belly. Lot of stress leads us to hold on to a lot of weight. So I'll take the example of Karan. Karan loved exercising daily. He went for a swim for 1 hour. He ate well. He slept on time. Yet the stomach belly fat was something he was always concerned with. So while Karan thought he was eating right, exercising, sleeping well, what he had forgotten is that he was in a highly stressful job. Whatever he did, he couldn't help but get stressed out. Even when he did enough, he always wanted to put in those extra hours because he wanted that bonus, and he also wanted that promotion much before anyone else. So, this kind of perfectionist attitude was leading to a lot of stress. So, once we know that my emotions, a particular emotion is troubling me, and I'm not being able to regulate it, the third step of emotional intelligence is I need to have an action plan. I need self motivation to work on myself so that I can have an action plan. So, when I talk of the EAR book, what the book talks about essentially is, in this book, actually a full fledged plan has been laid out to become aware of your various emotions. And then, once you've worked on the exercises, you will know what to do with typical emotions that we tend to avoid, like fear, anger, disgust, shame. So, getting in touch with our feelings, learning to regulate them, and putting an action plan actually helps us display the fourth component of emotional intelligence, which is empathy. Understanding what's going on in the other person's mind so that I can always have interdependent, healthy relationships rather than a relationship which is fraught with a lot of challenges. So, whether it's my personal sphere or it's a professional sphere, I feel competent to do things. So, these are four elements of emotional intelligence. And if I do this well, then the fifth and the last element of emotional intelligence, that is social harmony and social skills, are at play. So, success and productivity naturally follow. So, this was my brief of explanation of emotional intelligence. For more detail, you could refer to any of the books which are available online, or my YouTube channel where you can come in for regular interactions with me. And most of the books actually have been researched at incredible universities so that you know that scientifically you're looking after your mental health. Thank you, viewers, for all your questions, and I'm going to take them one by one. Welcome, Sagar. So, I'm going to answer your question. How does one practice self compassion in the face of anxiety? To practice self compassion, one of the first things that you do is understand what is it that's really, really troubling you, and what is it that you could do for yourself. Anxiety normally comes in our mind when we feel unable to cope. So, firstly, list down what is it that is getting you worried? What is it that you feel you are unable to cope with? Now, what is anxiety? If I think about it, anxiety is just a signal. It's an emotion that somewhere I'm not feeling safe, somewhere I'm feeling very unable to cope with the difficulties I have at hand. So, Dr. Aaron Beck, when he found his model of cognitive behavior therapy, he actually said that at the base of most anxiety lies three feelings: feeling unlovable, feeling helpless, or feeling hopeless. So, firstly, try and sit with yourself for 5 minutes, find a quiet corner, sip something warm, like I recommend chamomile tea because that's something which is very soothing and relaxing, and then ask yourself, okay, what am I feeling right now? So, essentially, the practice of self compassion means creating a safe space so that you can reduce your anxiety. Many of our anxious thoughts are because we, get into a hypercritical mode of ourselves. I wish I hadn't said that. What was the need for me to do it? I should perform better. So when I think these kind of debilitating thoughts, they are not helpful. So I like to categorize thoughts as helpful or unhelpful. The helpful thoughts are called pets, fuzzy pets, like performance enhancing thoughts. So self compassion means training your mind to think performance enhancing thoughts. For example, if you have a presentation which is coming up and you are very scared about how will you present in front of 15 people in your office. One is you say, I'm not going to be good, people will laugh. Now tell me, this kind of a thought, is it going to be helpful? Is it a pet or is it a pit? Pit is a performance inhibiting thought, something which is unhelpful and brings down my performance. So if you habitually think pits, that is, oh my god, this will go wrong, what's going to happen is you will constantly keep second guessing yourself. So an act of self compassion is sitting in a safe space, actually listing down what kind of thoughts am I thinking, helpful, unhelpful ones. If they are helpful thoughts, means they feel like pets, very soft, very warm. So coming back to the presentation, if I feel, oh God, I'm not going to do a good job, people will laugh, what if I forget my lines? Those kind of thoughts are pits, they put me down. So if I can actually rehearse and think of pets, at that point, if I have a presentation to give, if I tell myself when I'm sitting in my safe space, sipping a cup of chamomile tea, if I say, okay, I've prepared for this preparation, I have the facts, and I'm very well ready to cope up and talk about this exciting idea that I have developed based on the work which has been given, that would be a pet, right? So for me, an act of self compassion in the face of anxiety is categorizing your thoughts as pits or pets. Learning to think pets instead of pits is the way to tackle anxiety. Now, coming to your question, Yug, how can someone manage anxiety while at work or school? As simply as deciding to set some time aside daily to manage anxiety. Now, I have a question to ask you. Do you bathe daily? You do, right? Do you brush your teeth daily? You do. So you take some time aside on a daily basis to ensure that your basic hygiene is up to the mark. So if you want to manage anxiety at work or school, you need to set aside some time on a daily basis. If it's little children, I recommend that the moment they get up, put them in a habit of doing a 1 minute chant, whatever is your faith. Like the most religions or most spiritual practices have some humming sound that they recommend. Like the sound of Om universally is absolutely secular. So teach little children to chant Om 3 times. From your deep belly. So when you do it, the humming sound actually relaxes all the nerves from inside. So Om as a practice can be done by adults as well as children. For little children, 3 times is enough. And if you're an adult who has a very highly stressful job, I recommend at least trying to do it for 2 minutes. Second is some deep breathing. 5 minutes of deep breathing is specifically helpful for tackling anxiety. Third is a gratitude practice. 3 things that you are grateful for. If children or people who go to work start doing it on a regular basis, their overall climate of the mind is healthy and their anxiety is at bay. Now, Ashley, I take your question. What are some myths about anxiety that we need to set straight? Fantastic question, Ashley. The biggest myth about anxiety is that anxiety is not normal. That's a bit like saying that in 43 degrees sweltering heat in India, you won't feel sweaty, you won't feel uncomfortable. So, anxiety is just an emotion. What is not normal is an anxiety disorder. So, if you are somebody whose work is getting hampered because of anxiety, if you are somebody whose relationships are getting impacted because of anxiety, or your overall productivity is reducing, or you have excessive worry, so there are clinical criteria for diagnosing anxiety and an anxiety disorder. So, the biggest myth regarding anxiety is that all anxiety is a disorder. Now, I'll tell you what is healthy anxiety. If there is healthy anxiety, what does a student do? Studies for an exam. Now, the next question. James, how do grounding techniques turn panic attack into mere speed bumps? Very good question. You know, they say cars with German engineering have very good speed breakers. In the same way, grounding techniques are like speed breakers. They offer that cushioning so that when we are on bumps, we feel them a lot less. So, if we do grounding techniques, automatically we feel calmer. One of the best grounding techniques is planting your feet firmly on the ground and doing some deep breaths. That instantly connects you to the earth and you feel a lot better. Coming to your question, Abhinav, can you explain the concept of exposure therapy for anxiety? So, exposure therapy, if I look at exposure therapy, this is a bit like vaccinating your mind. Remember, all of us have grown up on some kind of vaccine or the other. So, what is a vaccine? You put in a little bit, or you inoculate, you introduce the germ into the body so that the body can fight an attack from the germ in future. So, this kind of inoculation helps us resist any kind of diseases because of that particular infection or microorganism. So, exposure therapy is like that. Let's say somebody avoids forests because they are very scared of spiders. You know, let's call this girl Ria. So, Ria would not go for a walk in the park because she was very scared of spiders. You know, she would feel where there's a lot of trees, some spider will be there, and she was petrified of going for a walk. The result was she never went for a walk in the neighborhood. Even if she went on a holiday to a nice, beautiful, scenic place, instead of admiring the scenery, she would be hyper alert and looking for the spider here, there. If she went to restaurants, she would be looking up, trying to find a spider web and feeling very icksy. So when she came in for therapy, we did exposure therapy for us. So what is exposure therapy? Bit by bit, you desensitize the person to the object of panic or difficulty. So this is done very gradually, sometimes by showing a picture in the book, then slowly getting them to touch the picture, and then you show a model, and then live when they go. So systematic desensitization is one of the techniques of exposure therapy. How can diet and nutrition affect anxiety levels? You absolutely, they have a very deep impact on anxiety levels. In fact, earlier last week, I was watching a video by a Harvard psychiatrist where she has shown that having diet rich in B12 and tryptophan really helps in reducing symptoms of anxiety or any kind of panic or difficulty. Now, tryptophan is something which is found in bananas. So, if you have one banana a day, you are going to feel a lot calmer. B12 is one vitamin which really regulates our mood. So, having lots of nuts, having lots of leafy green vegetables are all good for the mind. Remember the cartoon Popeye, the spinach eater? Yes, we've all seen it. So this is one of the things, like spinach again is very good brain food. So the kind of food we eat has a very important impact on our anxiety levels. One challenge which is happening these days is a lot of people are mindlessly going on a diet or doing many fad diets. So what happens is they are not getting basic nutrition. So without basic nutrition, without basic carbohydrates, our brain does not produce serotonin, the calming, relaxing chemical. So a lot of times these days anxiety level is so high because people have stopped giving adequate nutrition to their body and specifically their brain. So if you've suddenly been feeling very low or anxious, first check, have you given up having your evening meal? Have you actually gone on a routine where you're working 10 to 12 hours of a stressful job, then commuting, and then not even giving your body one roti or a bowl of rice and looking for exotic food which don't make you satiated. So perhaps sometimes introducing simple complex carbohydrates is the way you can actually start looking after your mental health, and diet and nutrition have a very, very deep connection with mental health. Varsha, you can get this book from Amazon. Just type Pragati Sureka and emotional ability resources. And Akansha, I request you to share the link in the chat box so you all can order. It's right there. And for all our viewers, it's available for a discount. For I hope that really helps you. And Little Champ, hi. All the best for your NEET exams 2025. And Little Champ, are you eating a lot of food? Little Champ writes that I'm feeling very low in energy, and also I feel that I'm taking more sleep than normal time, which causes me a headache. So, are you having enough water? I'm very happy to hear that you are sleeping, but are you having enough water? Are you having enough omega 3 capsules? But like what is really recommended is that you have either fish oil capsules, or if you have fish, please have that. Because with omega 3, we grasp better whatever we are studying. One of the causes of headache is also if you are not regularly washing your eyes or taking a break. So I know there's a lot of study schedule. Just keep a bowl of cold water on your table, and once an hour, just periodically dip your eyes into it and flutter them 10 times. Your mind will feel relaxed. Also, when you just rub a little bit of water or splash it on your face, your mind and your body will calm down. Every 45 minutes to 1 up, hour, stand up and down. So, your nervous system kind of gets release. And if you can, just do 3 chants of Om, or any kind of meditation that you like, or any other chanting that you like, something which produces an humming sound in your mind and your entire body. So if you do it periodically, what's going to happen is stress is not going to accumulate in your mind. It will naturally get discharged. So Devil791, thank you for your question. Tell us how to maintain happiness on a regular basis. So to maintain happiness on a regular basis, what you need to do is do certain practices regularly. Work on your emotional intelligence, like I had explained earlier on, and ensure that you are self-aware, that you know what kind of thoughts do you think on a regular basis. Next, you need to understand how you are regulating your emotions and what action can you take to always harness the power of your emotions. Remember, emotions are just signals. So if you actually start looking at emotions as signals and not as something which is good or bad, you will realize every emotion has a purpose. Like, I'll read out something from my book on sadness, which actually talks about how sadness as an emotion also has a purpose. Usually, we try and run away from sadness. But I need to understand that what is sadness? Experts consider sadness as one of the basic human emotions. It's an instinctive reflex action to upsetting situations and includes pain in at least one dimension. Sad feelings are transient in nature. If left unaddressed, they can lead to adjustment problems, mental health issues, and impairment in overall functioning. So, if sadness is left unaddressed, it's going to cause a lot of problems. And a lot of so called dark emotions like anger, sadness, and fear can be quite helpful if one is willing to acknowledge the tender facts they bring to light. Remember, emotions are just signals, and these red signals warn us about what is challenging our values and ethos. Yes, little champ, thank you for saying that you are having enough food, but you are not drinking enough water. Yes, so please start drinking enough water. So Thank you, viewers. I have loved your questions. And if there are further questions, do send them to us in the comments section. Every day, we do put up videos to help you take charge of your mental health and go ahead from there. You have said, can anxiety be cured with therapy alone? In most cases, yes. But if there is an underlying clinical condition or there are other problems, then definitely the intervention of medication is required. So, if I would recommend that you seek an appointment with a clinical psychologist. Most clinical psychologists will be able to guide you further if you need further intervention. Because good therapists do not look at solving all the problems by themselves. If they know that the problem that you have, that the anxiety that you have actually is related to other things, they'll definitely refer you on. So I hope everyone you have enjoyed our session on emotional intelligence and how it pertains to productivity and success. And I look forward to interacting with you again next month. Have a great day. Bye bye.